As technology and warfare have developed, so have the demands placed on modern-day sniper rifles. Perhaps to your surprise, Steyr, who most of you know because of the AUG, also has roots in bolt-action rifles. Their SSG is their sniper system dating back to the 1960s. As modern-day weaponry has evolved, so has the SSG. Their latest and greatest iteration of the platform, the M1, is Austria's answer to the modularity of the Accuracy International multi-caliber rifle system. Its scarcity in the US makes the SSGM1 a bit of a unicorn, which means it's come to the right channel. Okay, everyone, we are back. We are, these guys got a couple scars they're just puffing on out here. Like
smoking a couple stogies.
couple of bros out smoking cigars in the desert. Talking today really about the Steyr SSGM1, which I would imagine for a lot of you, you're like, the what? Because there's really no content on this. This definitely falls into the category of unicorn firearm. To be very specific, there are 102 of these in the US, which makes it pretty damn rare.
Yeah.
That makes it pretty damn rare, you know? We'll talk about that, and then after we're done talking about the gun and a little bit about Steyr, we will go into just some footage from earlier, just fundamentals of long-range shooting, and just kind of us learning a little bit about how to, ping some steel at 500, 800 yards. So with that said, before we get into it, Ciguera, you got your shit on?
I got my shit.
Yeah, look at that.
Right here.
Look at that, with some belly fur right above it.
Yep. That's some fur on fur right there.
Yeah, so they've got a few different things that we have rocked. We've done reviews on their stuff prior to them sponsoring the channel on both the Battle Wagon, which is like their battle belt, and then the Emissary belt, which is their EDC belt. I will tell you my personal 2 cents is I prefer the inner light Velcro belt for an EDC belt, just because it's a lot more mobile and flexible. And if you're looking for that belt where you're like racking sights off belts and getting it in, then do the Emissary. If you are more likely to get into a kicking contest or a dance battle, the light inner is going to move with you.
You get into more dance battles than like real battles?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
How does that fare for you?
Very well, my friend.
Especially with that belt?
Very well.
1911 Syndicate, all lowercase, no space, will save you.
Yeah, 10%.
$10,
Yeah.
10%, guys.
So scope that out. All right, let's chat Steyr a little bit. So I talked to Steyr and Joe, and Joe's back on the channel, Joe Dawson from Bruiser Industries. He does a bunch of long-range courses and stuff. You guys can check out his site and figure out where he's training and all that if you'd like to go get some training in.
I like to party.
Yeah. Oh, he does like it.
I like to
Clearly,
party.
guy's smoking a cigar on the damn channel. He likes to party.
No, he supplied him for this shoot, so
yeah,
thanks, Joe.
It's actually true. So we kind of talked in advance, and I talked to Steyr, and it was interesting because they were just saying, look, much to my surprise, actually, the list of companies that can deliver on a sniper rifle military contract, it's a pretty short list as it turns out.
Well, the thing is like manufacturing capability is a real thing. And the thing is, when you bid these contracts, it's not just, can you produce this many guns? It's how, can you produce these many guns so we can outfit the entirety of our force in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? And you got to figure, in militaries like the UK, Germany, Russia, US, that could be 1,000 rifles, 2,000 rifles, 5,000 rifles.
Yep.
And so developing a rifle that can shoot extremely accurately, and they might ask for, hey, we need 1,500 rifles in the first year, 1,500 every, or 2,000 every year after that, whatever it may be, to fulfill this contract.
Yeah.
And Steyr, and the thing is, what's funny is that companies like Steyr, Heckler & Koch, all these other companies, they might be we in the US might know them for like a gun.
Yeah. AUG.
H&K might be the MP5.
Yeah.
For Steyr, everybody thinks of the AUG, and the rest of their product line is actually very minimally understood or known in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. And the so the SSG has been around for a long time. 1969 is actually when the Austrian army adopted it. So the first one was called the SSG 69.
Extremely popular rifle for law enforcement and military in the UK for a very long time. Kind of how we view like the Remington 700 in the US.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
Steyer's been around for a long time also.
Oh man, I don't know the exact year, but a long time.
Yeah,
like that's a
hundreds of years.
You don't quote me on that,
Plus
but a long
100,
time.
plus
Sure,
100.
I believe that's correct. So they've had the SSG lineup. They started with the 69. Why is it just always so stupid and
Because you're 12.
Why though?
I don't even know why that number is popular.
I don't know. Oh, really? Oh, I'll show you some footage later and show you a documentary later and get you tuned up.
Called the first.
Yeah. So they did make some improvements to the SSG lineup over the years. There was the SSG 04, then there was the SSG 08. They wound up incorporating a few different things, but eventually we get to the SSG M1, which we have now, which essentially is the Steyr equivalent of the Accuracy International interchangeable barrel system.
The U.S. solicitation for these change barrel systems bled over into pretty much most of the big companies that can manufacture that type of gun. And so their bid for this, it wasn't, whatever the U.S. military picks, it always drives innovation at other companies.
Sure.
And then other countries then will start picking up those capabilities, right? So just because the U.S. wants a switch barrel and we choose the Barrett, the other SACO, Accuracy International, the other companies also then develop that system, and that might be sold to Finland, Sweden, Austria, whatever.
Yeah.
And so this was their response.
Yeah. And that's, to my understanding, kind of how you came to get the gun?
100%.
Yeah.
So I ended up writing an article on an AUG for recoil and ended up trying to let Steyr US know that that article was coming out, had no relationship. I purchased the gun online and reached out to their marketing team, and conversation ended up going to it started with, I need another bolt gun, like a hole in the head, and it finished with him going like, would you like to compare and contrast the Steyr, because we don't really have any, the US basically barely knows it exists, and you have AIs, and so we'd like to hear your comparison on the two.
Sure.
And so a week later, another tan large sniper rifle shows up, and here we are.
Yeah. And to give you guys, again, frame of reference, the M1 came out about 5 years ago, and there's only 102 in the US. So, these are certainly not abundant. I would imagine they're more abundant overseas. I'm guessing on that. I don't know. But it's in the US, these things are pretty damn rare, and there's really no content on them, which is kind of part of the fun of this. But interchangeable barrel system, the 3 calibers that it takes, you know them off the top of your head?
I know it does 308, 338 Lapua, and
6.5 Creedmoor.
There we go.
There it is. You guys think I show up unprepared. How dare you? So what, maybe to recap, we talked about this a little in the AI video. So what would be what's the purpose? What's the appeal of being able to run multiple calibers on the same firearm?
So you just got to figure when you have a caliber that has a shorter barrel life, to get a 190 or 220 grain bullet, the bigger bullets in the 300 Norma, 338 Lapua, to get those velocities out of that caliber, you're going to have higher chamber pressures and higher amount of powder being burnt. So that means a lower round count out of that barrel before it basically turns into a smooth bore and you start losing accuracy, velocity, etc. And so that can be a big deal when a sniper or a precision marksman or somebody has developed a relationship with that gun they know their data, they know the velocities, they know how the gun behaves, to then go, oh, it's burned out. Give that gun back to an armorer, send it back where it needs to get rebarreled.
Yeah.
What you can do is, if you're doing stuff that's either a shorter distance, instead of, if you're doing something and your max shot's gonna be 200 yards, do you really need a 300 Norma to accomplish this? And so in a training environment, having the ability to change something like a 308, so instead of going from an 1,800 round barrel life, you go to an 8,000 round barrel life.
Yeah, huge.
You can change it out, then do the training requirements you need, and then when you go back to either needing the distance or you're deploying and you need the kinetic energy on target, etc., you can then put it back to those larger calibers. And so it basically makes it so that without losing your primary barrel or the way the gun is typically set up, you can then save the life on that in regards to running the smaller caliber.
Yeah, well, in many ways, I mean, you kind of wind up getting a 3-for-1 deal on your firearm there, you know?
It's almost like if you get like a 22 conversion for your AR to get like super good fundamentals
cheaper
not
ammo,
blow through a ton of ammo, and then switch back up just in Magnum calibers.
And the way you got to think about it is 3-for-1 is a really good way to think about it, in that people go, when you buy, let's say you bought a 308, a 6.5 Creedmoor, and a 300 Norma, or a 300 Win Mag, or whatever, 338.
Yeah, pricey day.
You got to figure, even though these rifles may be more expensive, if you bought a $4,000 rifle, a $4,000 rifle, and a $4,000 rifle, now a $3,000 scope, a $3,000 scope, and a $3,000 scope, vastly more expensive. One rifle, one scope, one bipod, 3 barrels, 3 bolts.
Yep.
You cut your cost literally in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge. Well, why don't we maybe grab that bad boy, talk about just some of the little kind of nuanced things about it.
So this is the Steyr SSGM1. I'm running a Atlas Super Cal on it, which is the big B&T bipod.
It's a B&T bipod?
This is a B&T bipod.
No shit. I had no idea they made bipods.
B&T as in Atlas, not B&T as in
Switzerland.
Brugger and Thomann.
Okay, got it.
So I'm running a really right stuff Arca rail on it. We're running the CGS suppressor supplied by
It's a Helios full size, Helios 762.
my main man here. Running a 4 to 27.
Sorry, Hyperion 762. My bad.
Got you covered.
I don't work for him, so.
4 to 27 Vortex Razor in a Bobro mount. The gun is M-LOK. It came in M-LOK and key mod. This one has a switch barrel similar to the AI, but with kind of an extra step. This one, you loosen up an Allen key on the side, and then this little ring right here has a wrench that you loosen up, and then the barrel just twists out.
Okay.
With all those dimples in it, that ring? Okay.
And so it's kind of...
And your optic could still stay on while you do that, or no?
Yes. You only need to loosen it a little tiny bit, so it only has a little bit of movement to come out of tension.
Okay.
Rotate it out, put a new one in, tighten it down.
Yeah.
So optic can stay on, you're just literally switching barrel and then the stuff that keeps the barrel in.
Yep.
Okay.
It's got an integrated 30 MOA scope base that has 30 MOA from the back, which is why it's taller, all the way to the front. So in line, the entire base has 30 MOA of cant, which is awesome for a gun that you're gonna be shooting at extended distances. It's got a pick rail up here built into the gun. This came on the gun. The Arca rail did not.
And so what's the advantage of having the pick rail?
So this right here, I run a really right stuff tripod, which then allows me to attach to the gun itself on a center point. So I can use it on a tripod, I can use it on whatever. It also, if you wanted to run a bipod on a shorter position, you could do that. Really, personally, I think with the way the industry is going, really the Arca rail is kind of the go-to, which is why on my Accuracy International, this location is all Arca rail. Steyr, I know for a fact, is working to try to develop an Arca rail attachment for this. As of right now, doesn't happen. So It is foldable. It's got 2 lug bolt and 3 position safety, very similar to an AI, but done in a very different way. It's done with a selector, very similar to a Accuracy or a AR. And then it also has a wheel on the back that also activates.
It's hard to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Very similar to like a Mossberg shotgun, or where the safety would be on the back of the receiver. So you can also visually see. It basically has fire, safe, where the bolt can still be operated, and then if you put it all the way up, it basically locks the bolt closed. The Accuracy International has a very similar feature.
Okay. Yeah, so basically the system's locked where...
Stock is foldable.
Nothing going.
Nope. Length of pull is adjustable, and the height of the cheek piece is also adjustable.
Price on these bad boys, I think, is like
just under 10.
Yeah, yeah, smidge under 10.
It's got 2-stage trigger. Very different feeling. It's definitely been an adjustment for me. I just shoot a lot of the same bolt action trigger for my competition guns, and the Accuracy Internationals all are AIs, so they feel very similar. Well, I have like 3 of them, and so this one, very nice trigger. I found this gun to be extremely accurate. I think they're hammer forged. They are hammer forged barrels. Yeah. It's got kind of a spiral texture to the outside of it. I think probably part of the hammer forging process.
Just for cooling, I suppose.
Extremely accurate. So I've been very impressed with the accuracy on these guns. The bolt feel is, if you're used to a custom gun like a Surgeon and Defiance, the factory sniper rifles like this in the AI might feel a little sloppy, but I've had no issues. Feeding's been great. run into a little bit of issue simply with the magazine on the 308 conversion alone, just because of the way the insert on the magazine presses one of the rounds where I was impacting right beside the feed ramp. To the understanding that they have, this is an older one of the guns, they've developed a fix, just this gun doesn't have it. So that's the only issue I've had, and it's only when I put front pressure on the magazine.
Barricade.
Yeah.
And you said that this is a 2-lug, so 90-degree throw.
Yeah.
Hey, look at you picking it
If
up.
it was 3-lug, it'd be 60 degrees.
This is correct.
You guys are welcome.
Yeah.
So
that's what we learned today, everyone. There you
I
go.
know, that's it.
The bolt feels great. It looks like an AR-15 magazine. I've taken that apart. It does not take, not magazine, grip. Does not take AR-15 grips. Very, very much looks like one. It is not. But very heavy rifle, obviously long action, developed for 300 Win Mag, 338. It's a really heavy gun setup as 308. Recoil impulse, obviously with the added weight, felt recoil is very manageable.
Very manageable.
Especially with the suppressor on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, Chris works for CGS. For anyone who doesn't know, I do not. So when you guys have CGS questions, don't send them to me, which is what you often do. Send it to Chris. But I'll say this as an unbiased person, like, hot damn, that gun sounded good with that can on it today.
Yeah.
Outstanding. I mean, I actually, when I was running this, when I got done, I said, you know what I just figured out? I didn't have ears on the whole time.
Not the whole time.
And I was completely unbothered, not wrong, not anything.
And even with the 90-degree shoulder, has it walked off at all today? No.
Yeah,
So.
very, very nice.
With no wrench, we literally just held the gun hand tight.
Yeah,
So,
very nice.
10-round magazines, double stacked, similar to the AI. So definitely feed loads from the top. You don't have to feed it in like an AICS magazine. They're double stack. But all of them are. So 308, 300 Win Mag, they're all double stack magazines. So you get instead of having a super long, like our Mark 13 magazines are all single stack. So the same length mag would hold 5 rounds. This holds 10.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, nice.
And it's been interesting. I personally probably have about 600 to 800 rounds on this gun at this point. It's been it's easily a sub half MOA, and I haven't hand loaded for it. Just buying good quality 175s, shoots easily sub half MOA, and I've been really impressed.
Yeah.
Comparatively to my AI, it's definitely it's an interesting gun and another option in that field.
Yeah, well, hey, and so much of it is always people get in the debate of like, well, what about this versus this? It's like, God, I hate those questions. Yeah. I hate them because you're like, do you understand that multiple things can exist that check the same box and they're just different and they're both good? Like it's just it's a weird argument, but that so is the gun community.
Yep.
So anyway, before we get to some training footage, if you guys want to support the channel at all, check out 1911syndicate.com. We are a real estate business. We work nationwide. So if you're in the military and you're PCSing, or if you're a cop and you need to go buy a new house, or you're just a dude, or your Tinder chick needs to buy a house, you can put her in touch with us too. We'd love to help her. So go to the website, check that out, sign up for the newsletter while you're there. You will get good information on that. It's not spammy. We actually give you good shit there. And then the Patreon's link below. And then I don't know if we can link your site. YouTube's weird, but definitely check out, what is it,
BruiserIndustries.com, super easy. At Bruiser Industries on Instagram. I try to respond to everything. There's contact forms on the webpage for hosting, all those things. And yeah, love to see you guys at a class.
Like hosting courses? Oh, cool. Cool. Is all that on in like laid out?
And we can do private courses for law enforcement, military. You guys just hit me up. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, cool. Right on. With that said, let's take you to some training footage.
So reading wind. Reading wind becomes one of those things that is one of the biggest reasons at distance you're going to miss. And it's something that takes a lot of training and follow-up training to maintain kind of currency in, because it's not something people take to naturally. Sure. Like if I told you, like, hold your hand up, tell me how many miles an hour this is. Like plus or minus how many miles an hour do you think you're going to be close?
I'm saying that's like an 8 value, right? 8 miles an hour?
5 gusting, 9, 10 maybe.
Okay.
So, and at closer distances, that variance isn't going to matter as much.
Sure.
Because the width of the target is going to be a higher mile an hour before you fall off. As we get out, maybe to our 800-yard target, that same size target is going to be a drastically smaller mile an hour. So if your wind call isn't within 1 mile an hour or 2 miles an hour, you're missing the target.
Yeah.
And so reading wind is one of those things, and the way we used to read wind up until really recently relative to long-range shooting was utterly wrong in how we break down from which direction the wind is coming, what percentage of full value wind is actually affecting it. What I mean by that is, okay, if the wind's coming straight in my face, straight, perfect, 0 degrees, and I shoot into it, do I have any right or left? And I know somebody's gonna hit me in the comments about spin drift and slow down. There's gonna be 0 input into the bullet.
Yeah.
If it's coming directly from behind me, 0% input on the bullet. So perfect 90 degrees to 3 or 9 o'clock is going to be the 100% input of the wind on the bullet.
I got you.
So if I split that though, and I go to 45.
Half input, half value.
That is how we did it for a really long time.
Okay.
But it's actually not. And so how it works is you got to think of with the surface area of a bullet and how much of the surface area of the bullet is actually being contacted by the wind.
Okay.
Have we removed half of the surface area by shifting it 45 degrees?
It's above my education level.
That's above mine for the most part. I can understand it, the basic concepts. Basically, how it works out is it's actually 70 to 75% at 45 degrees.
Okay.
And so at between like 0 and 15 to 20 degrees, you get 25% of input. And so 45 is 75%. If 15 degrees is 25%, think about how much of the actual full value is like within 95% or 80% versus how much wind fishtailing in your face affects, right? So 45 to 90 is a 25% difference in wind. But from right here, 15 degrees either way. So we have a 90 degree input to be plus or minus 25%, or we have a 30 degree plus or minus
to be at
to the left,
25%.
to be 25, or 50% either way.
Yeah.
So 25 and 25, 25 and 25.
Yeah. Okay.
So I always tell people I'd take a raging 30-mile-an-hour wind at full value, even off plus minus, than a fishtailing 5 to 10.
Sure.
Because that fishtailing, you're gonna pull your hair out, you know, be gnawing on your beard and throwing your gun down a mountain.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to understanding that. So what that means is, so if I have a 10-mile-an-hour wind from full value, that's 10 miles an hour that I'm accounting for. If it moves to 45 degrees, then I'm accounting for 70% of that. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can do, hey, I'm gonna do a 70 or a 7 mile an hour. If we're counting this 10, I can then do a 7 mile an hour. Or I can go, if my 10 mile an hour wind is a mil, then I can hold 0.7. So there's 2 ways to do that.
Yeah.
There's almost never, almost, comments on these are gonna be awesome, almost never a 0 value wind. Because of how little it takes to actually affect the bullet. And so people will go, well, I aim center mass. Well, it's like, yeah, but you also had some right spin drift. And so you were actually, like, the bullet was then pushed back into center because your bullet, anyways, more difficult topics.
Rabbit holes.
Yes. But reading wind, and it comes down to what I tell people is if you can't get like the ballistic kestrels that we've talked about at $800, the simple ones that read wind cost like $100 on Amazon. And so what I tell people is grab one and throw it in the center console of your truck. Throw it in your day bag you drag around. If you're into long range shooting, what I call it is truing your wind reading. If you're hiking with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, your dog, and you're just on a hillside and you're like, you know what? I say that's 4 to 6. Check yourself. The more you do that, the better you're going to get at wind reading, and the better you get at wind reading, the more you're going to hit.
Cool. Let's start hitting, bro.
Okay.
3.5?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I want you to give it 0.4 left.
0.4 left?
Okay, let's talk through this before you butcher this, and I have to call you out on camera for holding the wrong direction.
Okay.
Wind reading. I'm the target.
Okay.
Wind is coming from my right.
Yep.
Okay. Which, with my reticle, I have to hold into the wind.
Left.
So that will push the bullet onto the target, right?
Yep.
So you're going to take the vertical stadia line of the reticle, and it should be on the left side.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
What people fuck up is they end up putting the target on the left side of the reticle. I'm not telling you to put the target on the left. The reticle, the vertical stadia line, goes on the left.
I'm pointing this way so that I get pushed this way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I say that in class, and I always say one person's gonna mess that up, and I'm like, and everybody goes ha 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 ha, because it seems so simple.
It seems like a no-brainer.
Somebody without fail always holds the wrong way and then yells at me until I take a reticle, like that plastic reticle, and I put it on the target and I go, "You're holding like this," and they go, "No, I wasn't." I'm like, "So I thought." And then they're literally like throwing stuff at me and being like, "I'm holding the right direction." Okay, give me 0.4 left. Make sure to watch that bubble level.
Okay. Ready?
Yep. Just off right edge. Give me 1 mil left.
So that would be.
The other thing I watch newbies make a mistake a lot is I always tell people is that experienced shooters miss with the wind because they're not scared to call it. New shooters will miss. Still off right edge. You see a trace?
Nope.
Oh, I know you won't.
A trace?
Are you watching the vapor trail of the bullet?
No,
You
I'm
ever
not
seen
seeing
it?
that. No, I'm just watching the target, but.
That wind picked up like crazy. Give me 1.4 left. Fix this. Still off right
Oh,
edge.
yeah, I
You're
do
high
see-
though.
I do see what you're talking about.
Come down 0.2, 0.7 left. Right there, see it?
Yep.
Dong!
There we go.
Yep.
Come up 0.2.
Yeah, you're like kind of bottom 10% of the steel.
I don't know if that's see where it went?
Just
Yeah,
right,
right.
huh?
Yep. Okay. There's not 3 mils of wind at 500. I'm gonna shoot that gun real quick.
Yep. Bottom.
One mil left.
I
I think you're holding the wrong way. Impact. Okay, so what were you doing?
Dude. You know the 4 hash marks before the 1?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4 is what I was using.
Okay.
Yep.
No, those are 2/10.
Yep.
Okay.
Math.
That, and Chris, I'm not trying to be irritated with you. It's one of those things where somebody's convinced they're doing it the right way, but like what's happening downrange is not making sense.
Correct. I was off 100%.
Yeah, and the number of miles an hour I was giving you at 500, I'm like, it's not 35 miles an hour of wind out here.
Yeah.
1 mil left. Give me 1.2 left. So that first tick mark to the right of that 1, put on the middle of that target.
Okay.
Send it. Impact. You could probably come up 0.2.
Okay.
No, dial up 0.2.
Just over it, huh?
Yeah, you went just over its right shoulder. Give me 2.5 mils left.
Lost the target. Man, I can't get a good sight picture on this. I'm just strained like all the way everywhere trying to find the proper angle to get this. There's just like so much tension everywhere in my shoulders, neck, that like I'm shaking on the gun.
Do you have the rear bag underneath the gun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Can you see it or can you not?
See, but with rear bag underneath, I can't see target because I had to drop this so I could come down a little further, right? To be able to see through the optic. Yeah, like off a tripod would be far better. But I know, does Jake want to get on this?
Give me 1.2 left.
0.2 left. Okay.
Dong! First round impact. Give me 1.4 left. Oh, nope. All right, give me 1 left. I thought he was on that right edge. Did you see that first round in that bottom group?
In that bottom group,
Oh,
exactly, in the belly button area.
Then yeah, then give me 1 left. Give me 1 left, but aim for the head.
Nailed it. Fucking
Headshot!
Yeah, that
Jake's like, I don't
crispy
even know if I'll be able to hit this.
Yeah.
headshot at 550.
dude, yeah, that's his left eyeball.
Just in the left shoulder. So give it like 0.8 left.
Yeah.
Just take a little bit off. Yep.
And a final thanks to FLP for sponsoring today's video and the channel at large.
Yeah.
If you, and man, we really hope you're not, as we hope we are not, but if you're ever in a scenario where you're in a legally justified self-defense encounter, whether that be a home break-in, vehicle, whatever it may be, they will cover unlimited attorney fees. They have an attorney hotline. That way, if you need to call a lawyer, you're like, hey, some shit just went down, I got to talk to someone. You're not talking to a customer service rep.
No, you're talking to an actual lawyer.
Yeah, that would be a bad thing. Customer service rep can't really tell you much. So they got that. They got bail bond stuff, all kinds of different stuff. They got plans for, hey, if you just kind of need to cover your state, or if you travel a bunch, you travel a bunch. So you got that one.
Yep. I also have a wife, so it covers her in
Yes.
case she's in any legally justified self-defense scenario.
Yeah, if she just beats someone to death legally.
Yeah.
You
Punches
know,
them in the legs enough to, right?
there you go.
Right, there
She's
you go.
covered.
Yep.
There's a code, it's just 1911, 1911. If any of you ever spell out 1911, I will punch you in your stupid face. It's 1911, okay? The actual number, okay? And that'll save you about a third off the different services. So scope that out. Thanks to them. See you guys next time.